It's time for Remodel Revolution. And now, an award-winning contractor with over 40 years experience. Here is Alex Guthrie.
Welcome to another episode of Remodel Revolution. We're so glad to have you with us today. We are going to have such a great show. I have got two dynamic people sitting here with me, itching to get on this camera, telling me, Alex, shut up, let's play. I have today my very good friend and co-host for the show today, Mr. Steve Lauten with Total Air and Heat, and my very good friend, the Canadian, the lady from Canada. She is an incredible businesswoman. She does women's empowerment. She has Pink Belts Roofing and Construction. Robyn Garten. Hello, Robyn.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so glad. I'm so glad to have you with us today. Now, today we're going to go through our normal stuff. We're going to do our little tool segment today, and I was doing a little research. Actually, something popped up on my Facebook thing about this tool that cuts squares. And so I thought Steve might be interested in this because Steve, you know, he's an air conditioning guy, and they're always trying to cut square stuff, right? Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is, how do you cut a square quickly, efficiently, and all that? So I found what I think is the solution. Now, the tool that came up was this thing that attaches to a drill, and it cost about $300. And it is bulky and expensive. And I looked at the reviews and nobody really liked them. I'm not going to say what it was called. But while I was looking at that, I found this thing. It's called a Q-bit. And it fits on top of about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I did a tool bit on the multi-tool, the oscillating multi-tool. And this actually fits on that multi-tool. And this does the same thing, only for $50. So what do you think? Are you impressed?
Yeah, as long as it works.
Do your guys have them?
They don't. But
They don't. But this is like an electrician's type tool.
Yeah, but we have to cut in outlets too.
You have to cut in outlets, and sometimes your guys, you know, they screw something up and like maybe stick a hammer through a piece of sheetrock. I've seen it, and they got to cut a little square and fix it. So hey, it's a good tool.
Yeah.
So that's our tool segment this week. Go out if you're cutting squares or you're patching sheetrock or you're putting in plugs, or if you're an electrician, go find this thing. I think you'll like it.
You know, I usually get stuff like that for all my people out in the field at Christmas time. It's a gift from Steve. And
So is that the equivalent of giving your wife a vacuum for Christmas?
I've never made that mistake. No.
I bought mine a bass boat one year.
Oh, I bet she loved it.
Yeah, I don't know. She never got in it.
Imagine that.
I pull up in the driveway and I've got this brand new bass boat behind. She goes, "What is that?" And I said, "I bought you a bass boat, honey." So let's talk duct cleaning. I've actually had a couple of people recently, homeowners, ask me about duct cleaning because their houses are dusty. And they're immediately, you know, of course, your first reaction is, well, it's I've got dirty ducts. And you probably do. But the question is, in my research for this is it worth even cleaning your ducts, or is there a better way to deal with the dust? And so I went online and I found 5 of the reasons you should or should not clean your ducts. And I thought, while we had Mr. Duck Lauten here today.
Yeah, I got my ducks in a row.
that we would talk about cleaning ducts and should you do it. But this comes up a lot with me. It's got to come up a lot with us too. You guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so what is first, before we get into this, is this something people should worry about?
I think large amounts of dust in a home does need to be addressed, and there's ways to do that.
other than or including duct cleaning?
The issue, Alex, and we like to ask our customers this when they call us about it, is we ask them why they think their ducts need to be cleaned. As you've mentioned, my home is dusty is the answer.
Right.
The thing about it is cleaning the ducts does not eliminate the source of the dust in the first place. And that's typically the ducts are not sealed. Especially in houses that have metal duct, and there's typically a joint every 3 to 5 feet. When these homes were built, many of them over 50 years ago, but metal duct is still required in certain cities in our area. That's the minimum requirement. They need to be sealed, and originally they were sealed with duct tape.
So the question is, how is the dust getting in there? So that, I mean,
It's
the
through
real
duct leakage.
right. So it's not just the dust. You're not seeing dust in your house just because your ducts are dirty. The real question you need to ask is, why are they getting dirty?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And so what Steve is saying is that in a lot of our houses, and what do we have now? Do we still have 30 to 60% air leakage?
Not typically 60, but we used to build in our calculations around a 25% to 30% leakage.
And so, I mean, I've been in attics, and you've been in many, lots more than I have, that I'll go up in an attic and a duct will be completely dislodged. And it could be for lots of reasons. One thing is when we started using flex duct in the 80s?
Yeah, that's
About the
yes,
80s?
mid 70s to late.
It
late 70s.
deteriorates, and it at some point it has a lifespan. At some point, the insulation comes off of it, and it's just this little blue tube strung through the attic. And a lot of times, your attic is sucking dust through those, but it's really not the supply. It's the return duct that's the issue.
Typically speaking, is not just the duct itself, but it could be the connections where it terminates too. No question that in the 70s and 80s, there was a lot of duct that the outside wrapper was vulnerable to UV light and would cause it to split open like a ripe watermelon.
Well, well, not to mention the fact that your attic's, God knows how hot in the summertime, and anything that's in there is going to melt. So, according to this survey I found, it says number one, duct cleaning has never been shown to actually prevent health problems. Neither do studies conclusively demonstrate that particle dust levels in homes increase because of dirty air ducts.
Right.
Probably the problem is filters. That's usually it. And like Steve said, what's causing the dust to get in the system? Number two, 5 signs you should have your ducts cleaned. You haven't changed your air filter in months.
For years.
Or if your AC system's making a funny noise and you look in there and you can't see the filter, and it's sucked up into the little squirrel cage.
Yeah, that's normally it starts shaking real bad and vibrating. Throws it out of balance.
It's time to change your filter after you have the repair guy out
Here's your sign.
there. The registers of vent covers have visible dust.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on that whenever. But
Go ahead.
Most supply vents are cut in where you cut out a piece of sheetrock and you install what we call a boot. And that boot could be made from ductboard or it could be made from sheet metal. So anyway, that hole doesn't get cut perfect. They always cut a little bit bigger than it needs to be. And the boot that we put in has got a lip on the back that kind of covers up the hole. The problem is that if that's not actually mastic sealed around it, it will leak. And what happens is you'll see the vent's dirty, and it's because it's pulling in attic air around that. So it's simple to pull your grills loose and just caulk around those boots
So
they don't leak
essentially
to the
what
attic.
you're saying is that where you see
Keeping a Venturi effect.
the Venturi effect,
Yes.
there's a name for it?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
This just basically
I'm not sure how to react to the Venturi effect. I'm thinking in my mind.
higher pressure and lower pressure.
Okay.
You can actually have it where if there's a lower pressure on one side of something, it pulls the high pressure with it, and that's unfiltered air, fiberglass, and
This
moisture.
is why I have smart people on my show. Okay.
And then, of course, unsealed can lights are a huge source of that too.
So basically, what Steve is saying is that when you have an you see the little vent in your ceiling.
Yes,
The hole that it's in isn't sealed from the attic.
that's right. Yes, thanks for translating, Alex.
And it's like
I know sometimes I speak
and
HVAC
actually,
language.
Steve has a scientific name for it.
Venturi effect, look it up. What's the Venturi?
You can hear noises from the ductwork. Now, I've got to tell you, I had called Steve about this. This is years ago. He may have been on the show. I think he was on the show. And a lady called, this is when we were doing our radio show, and a lady called and said she could hear people talking in her air conditioning ducts and was wondering if we could help her solve the problem, since none of her psychologists had been able to help her at that point. And so she could actually hear like a radio station through her air conditioning ducts. I don't know whatever happened. You remember that call?
Yeah,
I
well,
remember
I've had a
that
lot
call.
of people.
I think that we,
The
I don't
funny.
think we had an answer for her on that one. Do you?
Well, if there was anybody else in the house or the radio playing in the house, and that would have been it. But especially with metal ducts, a lot of times you can hear people in other rooms talking. And I remember
was
one time
hearing
this lady was
music.
talking about, we can hear our kids talking in their bedrooms at night. I said, have you ever thought they can hear you too?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, she could hear rock and roll from Philadelphia.
Yep.
Anyway, do I need filters? Do I need filters on my return vents?
Only if you don't have filters on the main system. They do have, many houses do have what we call return air filter vents, where it's a swing open door to change the filter. That's okay. It's not preferable. It's preferable to have one good media air cleaner at your furnace or air handler
As opposed to having a whole bunch of little ones to keep up with.
that you have to get
Yeah.
on a ladder
Yeah.
typically to change because they're on the
Right.
ceiling of your house.
And
But don't
your
have
yard
both.
guy is tired of you asking him to get on the ladder for various things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I get that. Or your husband.
Yeah.
For that matter. Or in my house, my wife. She hates it when I ask her to do that stuff. I don't even do appliances anymore, you know.
Is that right?
And ever since YouTube came out, I taught my wife how to find YouTube.
Oh my
She
goodness.
fixes the dryer about twice a year. She's a wonderful woman. Okay, so the one other thing I wanted to talk to you about is with Steve about today is that and we did a show on this a couple of weeks ago, but I wanted to get a local opinion about it. Where this year they've mandated that we change the coolant in air conditioning systems. Steve, how's that going to affect people in general?
Well, Alex, I think
First
it
of
was,
all, let's talk about what's happened.
yeah. Your good friends in Washington, D.C. decided that originally it was refrigerant 22 or hydrochlorofluorocarbons that they wanted to get rid of because it contributed to destroying.
Freon is the name.
That was
people
the
know it
brand,
by.
one
Right.
of the brand names. Freon was from DuPont. Refrigerant 22 was the word used for that refrigerant. And so that was done away with in the 80s. And then around 2000, we did away with what took its place. Well, I'm sorry, refrigerant 22 was phased out, and in 2010, you couldn't make equipment with R22 anymore. We use 410A now. They're about to phase that out because it's a chlorofluorocarbon, and so it contributes to destruction of the carbon layer or the carbon outgassing. So unfortunately, as it stands right this moment, in about 10 years, that goes away too. And then we've got a flammable
The
refrigerant.
flammable refrigerant, which I think is a brilliant idea.
Flammable refrigerant that takes its place. And it's not like you don't have a cooling coil with a gas furnace in your attic and the refrigerant leaks out of the coil
right
by the
next to the
flame for the gas
furnace.
furnace.
Yeah, no, it's no big
there's
deal.
there's a lot of intangibles on this one, and
You have to
no
put-
no
You go up in the attic to change your air filter, and there's one of those things like you see in the restaurant over the stove that you pull on that puts the flame out.
yeah, something like that.
These
I don't
guys
know
are
what the long
brilliant.
term
They're
is going to
brilliant.
be. Well, unfortunately, the Department of Energy and the EPA have backed the manufacturers of equipment into a
How'd that
corner.
happen? I wonder why they did that.
Well, we don't have as money to lobby on Capitol Hill as the automobile manufacturers, and I wonder if automobiles put out any carbon gases
No, not
or
this
natural gas power plants
Not in this
or
country.
coal-fired plants.
Yeah.
But they have a lot more lobbying power than
We're
we
going to
do.
take a quick break and let Steve calm down. He's getting uptight.
I'm passionate about helping people.
We'll be right back.
The hardest working and arguably most important system in our homes is our air conditioning and heating system. It heats the air, it cools the air, and it filters the air. That's why it's so critical to have it checked and maintained by the very best professionals available. It's time to contact Total Air and Heat at totalair.com. Get that system pruned and tuned. If you want to have the very best experience, you've got to hire the very best company. Total Air's employees are honest, well-trained, and thoroughly background checked. I never have to worry about sending their technicians out to my clients' homes. Family owned and operated for 3 generations, Total Air and Heat has been a fixture in North Dallas for over 60 years. Total Air is a proud dealer of the Trane air conditioning systems, and you know how hard it is to stop a train, so give them a call at 972-881-0020. That's 972-881-0020, or contact them at totalair.com today.
About a year or so ago, I don't know how I found Pink Belt's Roofing. I don't really remember how I did that, but I was doing a series called Women in Construction, and I contacted Pink Belt's Roofing. I didn't know who I was talking to, and I asked this person on the other end or through email, I want to talk to a female roofer. That's amazing to me, and it ends up that she's in Alberta, Canada, and she's built this amazing business. And it just so happened that she was going to be in town, and I invited her to come in and do an interview. That was about a year ago. And since then, Robyn Garten, the president of Pink Belt's Roofing and Construction now, USA, because she's now moving her company to Texas, of course, because she's brilliant. Yeah. And has all kinds of other things going on. So I'd like to introduce you to my very good friend, Robyn Garten from Alberta, Canada. No, from Houston, Texas.
That's right.
How are you?
I'm good. How are
Good,
you?
good. Welcome
to be
home.
back.
It's
I
good.
know.
It's good that you finally made it to Texas.
I know. It seemed like
Congratulations.
forever, right? But
Yeah.
we're here.
Took you long enough.
I
Yeah,
know.
right. Congratulations. Well, you are, you're an amazing businesswoman, first
you.
of all. You also do a lot of women's empowerment things. You're in the ministry. You have a ministry.
Yes.
You have, you're an advocate for, I guess, for women, or where you're defending people. And I can't. Let's not go there. She does other stuff. She has tons of stuff. Let's just say that
She wears a lot of hats.
she wears a lot of hats.
Yes.
What ever made a girl want to be a roofer?
For years, I was just kind of, I was in property management, and I still am doing that on the side. I just found myself in a situation where, when I would go and look at properties and being, big envelope, construction sites, I was the only one there, so I would be doing the due diligence previously, checking the attics, the roofs, with all the vendors, and I never saw one woman
And so you just said,
And-
I'm going to be that person.
Well, you know what? It was a bug in my ear, and I just thought, you know what? I'm going to open up a company. I went hands-on for about 2 years first before doing it, and I opened up what is called Roof Surgeons Today, so it's all male. A year later, after checking out the industry and seeing minimal women in it, but women wanting to come into the industry, I thought, I'm the woman to do this. I'm the woman to pioneer and open doors for these women to jump into a male all-dominated industry. And so that's what I did
And how long ago was that?
in 2011.
2011.
Yeah.
And so you have roofing crews that are all female.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And you told me that the biggest problem you were having were the traffic jams around your jobs.
Well, yes. There were some traffic jams, yes. I think it's just a shock factor for people because they're like, what is this? So we have women in pink camo outfits on roofs, 33 hard working women trying to keep up with the demand of the industry, right? Because people need to understand I am the first woman in the world to pioneer such a platform. And I hold that title, which is amazing for me. But realistically, what's even more amazing is the women who come on to make this happen.
Well, and this was one of my questions to you is it can't be easy to find, I mean, where do you go to find women? If I went into any place I can think of in this town and said, how many of you ladies want to be a roofer? No, I'm getting my nails done. I'm not, no,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. When I do the seminars, I do the open houses, the women come. And the reason why I chose roofing is very simple. Because you're at heights, okay? And you're putting on the sheathing, you're staggering the sheathing, you're staggering the shingles. So they kind of go hand in hand. But then we started doing flooring and drywall. And guess what? You're staggering, right? So it opened a lot more options for our females who came in and wanted to do other things. So now that we're situated in Houston, it's just not roofing. It's going to be full renovation from top to bottom, restoration. So we're waiting on those tropical depressions to come in because I'm going to be the new sweetheart of Texas, and a new army's coming in, and I'm going to take it over. Simple.
Just make sure you have mud boots because we do a lot of flooding there too, especially in
I'll,
Houston.
high
I'll have
water
my
boots.
waders.
Yeah, you need
Yes,
some
you'll
weight.
need waders.
I will, and
they'll be pink.
Absolutely. Personally, I think this is brilliant what you're doing.
Thank you.
Because there's no other reason. There's such a labor shortage in all of the skilled trades.
Yes. And we're going to do business together because you know what? So what happens when we have, a massive flooding
Yeah.
or, torrential winds,
Yes.
whatnot, people are going to go for the air conditioning and the roof first, right?
Typically,
so those
yes.
go hand in hand. And
Yep.
guess what? There's more business, right?
Sure. I mean, there's no doubt about it that is a prime opportunity. And in Texas in particular, roofers with high standards and ethics
Yes. Yes.
is very important.
Yeah,
It is.
It really is. So, what brought you here? What made you come to Texas? Besides
Well-
the fact it's the best place, I mean, God made Texas for a reason.
It's great. You know what? Houston is the female entrepreneurial capital of America.
I did not know that.
Well, now you do. And
Wow.
guess what? I'm going to fit in brilliantly here.
Yeah.
And the market in Canada right now is not that great. So when our government got in, I had to really think quick and come to America. I mean, ideally, because I'm Canadian, I wanted to franchise my business in Canada, but it just wasn't the place for me. And God just kind of pushed me into a calling into Texas, and Texas has welcomed me. And I'm absolutely looking forward to this new venture in my life. And
There's plenty of people in Hollywood that are going to replace you, so don't worry about that.
Going from frozen tundra to swamp.
That's right. Let's talk about women's empowerment, because that's a big part of of your world.
Yes.
Tell us about your women in empowerment.
So, like I said, I basically hold seminars. I'll be holding them across America. We've got women all over the place who are interested in coming into the franchise under our umbrella. And basically, it is just to bring gender balance into the industry is what I'm focusing on. Will we hire men? Absolutely. Why? Because their design that God had made for them is to be stronger than women. So we do need to utilize them still.
I'm starting to feel like a mule.
What?
Alex, you can have a job. We'll utilize you. Fine.
Here's your sign, Alex.
Well, I think there is another
wear pink.
term for that.
And we'll wear a pink tool belt.
I'll wear a pink tool belt, but you're paying me really good for that.
That's all good. So that's basically what I do. I empower women to come into the trades. I mean, they can be a nurse, they can be a doctor, they can be a lawyer. Those are all great. But if they want to run their own show, I basically help them come into the company. They can either franchise through us, or we can help them build their own company and become subs for pink belts.
And
because
how
we
do
still
you
want to
do
utilize
this?
them.
You have a seminar or something?
Yes. So I will be holding those sometime, hopefully this year. I'll start in Houston, and then New Orleans, and then North or South Carolina, Atlanta, and Florida. So
Wow.
we're going to be moving.
Wow.
We're going to be moving quickly.
Following the storms.
Exactly.
Storm tracker.
Yeah. I am the storm.
Don't forget, North Texas
You
gets
are
lots
a storm. That's
of
for sure.
lots of tornadoes and hailstorms too.
Exactly.
So it's not just coastal areas.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
What is the type of reaction you get from? Now, I'm assuming that someone shows up at your seminar, a lady shows up at your seminar, understanding something about what she's getting into. What sort of reactions do you get from women when you go, "Oh, you're here because I need a roofer," or "You're here because I need a carpenter"? Is that how are they accepting that?
Mostly just want direction when they come to the seminars, right? They want to duplicate me into their platform, right? So they want to see how I'm doing it, what they're up against. And we're up against a lot, because when I started my business, it was kind of tough, because I had haters. I've had terrible emails.
Really?
I have been stalked. I've had my trucks broken into, and I still have them broken into every year. My tires tampered with.
Is this competition, or is this just guys being?
We don't know. But regardless of the fact, they need to understand that this is going to happen, and we're changing the dynamics, right?
So you're busting some glass ceilings, and they don't like it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm just shaking the industry up a little bit, and they are worried about that. And that's okay, because you know what? There's enough work for everybody,
Well, there sure is right now, for sure.
but I'm going to take a lot of it.
You
so
know, women in general are much better
Good.
communicators than men are. So I could see, especially in the home environment, a woman that's knowledgeable coming in and being able to communicate both to the husband and wife. I think y'all could build a great trust level and
and the beauty
be
is
more effective than men in many scenarios.
Well, the other thing is that I believe I'm right, and I know someone will email me if I'm wrong. There's more women homeowners now than men. There's more women purchasing homes, single women, than men. And I think there's a absolute need for more women in the remodeling industry and
All the
things that have to do, all those trades, because men don't understand that women feel intimidated when a big burly dude like Steve walks in and says, "This is what has to happen," and they're going, "Okay." But when a woman walks in, there's definitely a different feeling.
There is a different feel. And also, women are making most of the decisions now in the home. So talking to
Even
another
when they
woman.
let their husband think they are, yes.
Exactly, right? So it's nice to be able to communicate with both of them, but also the woman knowing that that we're on the same page, right? And we can communicate the same way. And I take the time out too to, just kind of instruct them of what's happening so that they have some knowledge of, how a roofing system works, right?
I think it's fascinating to look at how things are changing in our society, and I've been really very supportive of female entrepreneurs on this show, and for years, because I think it's so important. For one thing, I don't think a lot of guys are real smart, and I mean in business. I mean, they might be really good at what they do, but women have I'll tell you how this came about for me. I have been in business all my life, and I've made a lot of dumb mistakes, like anybody that's been in business all their life. You can always look back and go, boy, I wish I'd done that different. I realized at one point that the best advice I was getting in my business was from the women that were in my office, and they were saying, Alex, wake up, man. This is a problem. This is a problem. This person, because I'm kind of like a typical guy, I'm like, he's just being a guy, and they're like, no, he's being an idiot. It's affecting your business. And when I listened to them, I realized over time that I was just getting great advice. I've always respected women. I was raised by women, so I respect the back of their hand, and
When it hits you, yeah.
and I learned to listen and duck. Those are the two things everybody's like, what was it like being raised? I learned how to listen. I learned how to duck.
Well, women really have an eye for detail, and that's where I think there's just a massive opportunity. I spend hours talking to my guys about, you could do the best install in the world and leave a handprint on the wall, and that's what they're going to see.
That's what they're going to see. Yeah.
And so those details is what makes the difference. And women just come by that naturally. Guys, you have to drill it into them and beat it into them, but women just have those natural skills.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about your kind of marketing plan here. You're going from a single business in Canada,
Yeah.
and you're going to expand worldwide.
Yes.
You're going to be like you're going to be the Super Dave of women in construction. You don't know who Super Dave is. You're
Yes,
too
I
young.
do. Watched him every Saturday.
Super Dave Osborne?
Yeah,
Yes.
Super Dave. Yeah, only she's not going to bounce off the wall. She's going through the wall. So you started out, I know we talked about the 5. You were starting out with about maybe 5.
Yes.
5, and I guess that's what you were just talking about. And so are you going through each city and having seminars, or
Yes.
how's that plan?
Yeah, so we're going to do the 5 locations first, and kind of get into preparation for opening up those offices. And then we are going to have a global umbrella platform worldwide.
You're amazing. You're amazing.
Yes, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more with Robyn, Garten, and Steve Lauten. We'll be right back.
Sometimes it's a question of, do I call or don't I call the foundation repair company? Well, what if I tell you that I know a foundation repair company that will tell you if you don't need foundation repair? That's right. Hargrave and Hargrave Foundation Repair has been in business for over 50 years, and they know the difference. One of the last family-owned foundation repair businesses in North Texas. Not only are they honest, they know what causes your foundation to move, and they know how to fix it. Don't be duped by fly fly-by-night foundation companies that provide shortcuts and messy fixes. Call Hargrave and Hargrave Foundation Repair at 972-442-3415. At the first sign of trouble, Hargrave uses the Chance helical pier system exclusively because it's the highest quality, most reliable helical pier money can buy. 972-442-3415 or contact them at hargravefoundation.com.
Robyn Garten is a female entrepreneur, and she is kicking some serious butt, and I'm enjoying so much having her on the show. We're talking about women's empowerment in the construction industry, and Robyn is right at the forefront of that, and I'm so happy to have you. I have a question. Are there certain trades that women gravitate to when they're wanting to be hands-on? Do they want to be a carpenter? They want to be a painter? What do women want to do?
I find them in all fields. So whether it's electrical, plumbing, painting, flooring, tiling, they're popping up everywhere out of the woodwork now, and it's great to see that. So, and it's also beneficial to me because, we all, come together, we're in contact, we're building together, and so I'm looking for them all. So if you females are out there and you're looking to grow your business somehow or get into it or get into the trade, please contact me. I would love to help direct you with that and utilize your talents in the future. If you're already a red seal, blue seal, whatever it is, please contact me. If you're thinking about going into business or you want to come on to our franchise, I would be happy to meet you and move forward with you. Sure.
Let's talk about training and how you're training these women. So we've got trade schools now, and there's a big push right now to increase, get more people into trade school for obvious reasons, and a larger and larger percentage of those people are female. I've been reading that. I didn't even think about grabbing those stats today, but it is what's happening. Are you going to align yourself with trade schools or small colleges or high schools or things like that? Have you gotten that far in your process yet?
Yes. So I walk into schools, colleges, trade school, and I introduce myself. I tell them who I am, what my platform is all about. And so when they are in school and they're doing the book savvy part of it, we pull them out with our red seals and we give them their
What's
hours.
a red seal? What are those?
Red seals are people who have been in the trades or who have finished the 4-year program, so they are masters. So we take those masters and we pull out the girls for their orientation hours. And so we find enough women to take on 2 or 3, maybe even more women at a time from these schools so that they can get their hours and then they sign off on their hours.
And this is a training program in the trade?
Yes,
in Canada.
in Canada.
Okay.
But we also, so I haven't really scoped out the area here for that, but we would still want, regardless, I'm pretty sure here you still need X amount of hours, whether it's 1,500 hours.
We need red armadillos.
Okay.
Construction Education Foundation, CEF, is probably somebody you should contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have to keep all of this relatable. And I understand in Canada that you got seals.
Yeah.
The only seals we have in Texas are on your engine of your car.
What about Navy?
Oh, well, we've got.
Come on.
We've got Navy seal. But I think armadillos you could relate to. And so is there, they're kind of taking it all on. What do you find is a strength that women have in the actual physical part of this that men don't? What is it? A focus? Is it attention to detail? What do you think women do better?
I think it revolves around everything. I think that they're more detail. They just, you know what, for them to come into this industry, that's the biggest strength, right? Because they are not fairly looked upon. Had I opened up this business 15 years ago, it probably wouldn't have went anywhere, but I opened it up at the, perfect time. So I think just the strength in itself is them stepping into the industry and, looking for that recognition that, we can do this job as well.
Well, I was, my first construction job, and I was a young guy, and I was in Colorado, and I was up on this roof, it was in the mountains, and I was real high up on the roof, and I was real scared. I was real scared.
Yeah.
I was straddling it like I was riding a donkey. I was straddling that roof. I didn't want to move. And I look up, and there's this young woman with her tool belt on, just striding right along.
Yeah.
And I went, man, that really, that hurts. Didn't hurt any worse than the splinters I had put in my backside by straddling that roof. But women have been brave. That was a brave lady doing
Yes.
that. Way back then. This is in the 70s. That's when you were so much younger than me. You don't even know when the 70s were.
You'd be surprised.
So I got this chart yesterday or last night, and I thought this was very interesting. And it has some statistics about women-owned businesses, in particular in construction. And that this says women make up 14% of staff executive positions and 7% of line executives. Now, I've interviewed several ladies that actually own construction companies around the country. Some of them inherit the company. Some of them have started them. Some of them are new home builders.
Yeah.
Some are remodeling, and they're almost all executive level people. They're more so than just in the trades. They're also all very successful because I think that there's a certain analytical edge women have on men in a lot of ways. They're just more thoughtful. Now they're not always they don't go in as edgy and hard as men, but they certainly come out that way.
I think one of the things too, like say, like we're looking at heavy equipment here, the feedback that I get in Canada is the owners of these businesses, of course, male, they love the fact that these women look after their equipment because it saves them thousands and thousands of dollars in maintenance fees, where when they, checked everything out from male to female.
You
There's
mean they're taking
20,000.
better care of it?
Absolutely.
Saving
Women
them
aren't using
thousands.
brute force on the equipment.
Yeah.
Throwing it across the room or whatever. Yeah, no, I get that. Well, this was jobs held by women. This I thought was really interesting. Nearly 1 in 3 companies promoted women to senior roles in 2018. 45% sales and office, 31% management, 21% construction and maintenance. 21% construction and maintenance. That's almost 1 out of 4.
See, there
That's
you go.
incredible. That's a huge number.
Thank you, ladies.
Well, I've seen a lot of women mechanics, but I don't see a lot of women on job sites. I just don't.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a regional thing. It actually we've never had a lot of women on job sites here.
You know what? And I also think too is it's because a lot of women feel that they don't get equal opportunity. And so I think a lot of these other businesses need to drive and accept women to come in, to help out. That's what we're, meant to be. We're meant to be helpers, and we're really good at it. And I just think that, like, for example, when I went to New Orleans, when I was talking to some people about this, they were like, are you kidding me? Nobody would ever give us that opportunity. Well, when I go there, that opportunity is going to be open and it's going to be huge. So if you guys aren't going to do it, guess what? I'm going to do it.
So you're telling me that women are just looking for the opportunity and it hasn't been presented to them. And I think
Enough.
that's very fair.
Yes.
Because when you're going into this industry, if you're that would be like me going into a female-dominated industry as a male, and that would be very, very intimidating. But for a woman to go into a male-dominated industry, where she walks on a job site and it's all these guys being guys. That's the hard part for a woman. These guys, just some of them, really.
After a while, it's not so bad because I'm just one of the guys, right?
Well, no.
I am. I am. No, seriously. Like with my, all male company, I'm just one of the guys. They treat me equal. I treat them equal. And it works.
Okay.
So-
I certainly think it's possible to get there. Yeah.
I think I think that women would bring a different smoothness. I'm just saying smooth out some of the edges because most men will automatically, just intuitively should. Now, you're going to have and that I'm not telling you anything, a whole lot of guys that are going to really be resentful of having women out there. I mean, for a lot of guys, a job site is their club. It's where they hang out. They're with the dudes. Anything goes.
Yep.
And that's a big adjustment, having to kind of check your language maybe, or check
Yeah.
Check a lot of boxes.
check a lot of
Yeah.
boxes. That's right. Leave a lot of it at the front door.
Well, we have to a great extent, even when we hire women at my company for in the office, we have to make them aware that guys sometimes don't have a filter. And we apologize
Are
in
we
advance.
supposed to have a filter?
We are actually supposed to have a filter. And so we just make the guys aware that we're not going to tolerate. And we tell the ladies, stand your ground. And if you got a problem, let us know.
We don't have a filter all the time either.
No.
Well,
It just comes
but it's
with-
it's more socially acceptable when women don't have a filter than when guys don't, I think.
Sometimes it's tough, right? When you're
Yeah.
swinging a hammer,
Yeah.
you know what?
Yeah.
Things happen. And
You hit your finger with a hammer, you can cuss like a
words
guy.
are- Yeah.
This has been a really, really fun show.
I know, it's
really,
been a good
really
time.
enjoy having you here, and
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you and proud of you. And
Thank you.
I think it's amazing what you're doing, and it's necessary. It's
It
time.
is.
It's time that it happens. And I love the idea that you're just wanting to kick ass all over the place, and I think
yeah.
that's really a wonderful thing. If you are going to remodel your house, you're going to do a room addition, if you want to build a house, if you are wanting interior to maybe redo the interior, maybe your kitchen's getting kind of tired and old and you want to redo it, give me a call, or contact me, Alex at alexguthrie.net. Give me a call at 469-446-8508. We do all kinds of remodeling, renovation. We've been in business since I was a little boy, and would love to hear from you. And Steve Lauten, thank you for being here today.
Always
Thanks for
love being a
on the
part
show.
of your show.
Yeah, it's really
always
fun.
fun.
And next week, we're going to have Carol Longacre with Service Roundtable. This is another company we're aligning with that I'm super excited about this. In fact, Steve's a member of Service Roundtable, and it's an organization that promotes small businesses. It started out in mechanical plumbing, and now they're growing into remodeling, residential remodeling, kind of expanding their footprint. And so we're going to have Carol on, and she is a very interesting lady, a good friend of mine for many years. She was one of the first female presidents of the local Builders Association. And so you talk about kicking some doors in. She's done it. She's a fantastic lady. So look forward to having her. Thank you, Robyn Garten and Pink Belts Roofing and Construction USA, moving here to the great state of Texas. And I know you're going to do great. I know you're going to do great forever. So thank you so much. Thank you, Ziggy Becker,
Yes.
our producer, director, keeping Alex in line dude. Thank you, On Air Media. We love you. And thank you, of course, to our sponsors who, without them, there's no us. And, of course, our audience who is growing rapidly. You can find us Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, you name it, we're there. And also check out Texas Weather Tracker TV. There we are on their program Saturday 1 and 3. We're really excited about that. And until next week, this is Alex Guthrie checking out. We'll see you in a week.
The views and opinions of this program are for educational and entertainment purposes only and are not intended to replace the recommendations of a hired professional. You can catch Remodel Revolution anytime. Follow the show on the website, remodelrevolutionradio.com, or on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, using the handle at Remodel Revolution Radio. You can always listen to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn, and watch the show anytime on YouTube.